one of the things that doing the documentary, The Real Casino, really drove home, was for all the talk of, the whole fanboy, oh, Marty Scorsese, oh, big Scorsese, oh. Arguably one of the top, 3 filmmakers in the world, maybe one. Is Bergman alive? I don't know. It's all bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit. The receipts prove it. It's the Woody Allen quote. I wish I had a dime for every time someone said they saw one of my movies. If it wasn't for Leo DiCaprio, dude, he would not be making movies. He wouldn't. No one saw these films. It was insane. If you had a star, when I was doing The Real Casino, was making its rounds, 98, 99, 2000, and then, the DVD, like 03, whatever, the TF1 thing. If you had a star in your documentary, there was, what was his name, Roger somebody, who did this documentary on Star Trek. There were how many documentaries on Star Wars because of Phantom Menace and this, that, the other, and the re-releases. I don't care what it was. If you're making anything that has anything to do about a world-class filmmaker, in theory, if you're a film programmer, that's a slam dunk. They're full of shit. They're full of shit. They don't give a shit. I'm just telling you. I'm not alone in this. Glenn Kenny, who's an editor at Premiere Magazine, a film critic, he wrote a film on Goodfellas. He interviewed Scorsese. He interviewed him when the film first came out. He had a relationship with him. He confirmed it. He said just being that close to him, getting a sense of what it would be like, the kind of nonsense that he had to put up with, the kind of bullshit takes for all this stuff that people, I'm such a huge fan. It's crap. It's garbage. The receipts, Goodfellas barely did business. Yes, it made money, not that much over its budget. It was huge on video, home video and all that, but it just, like, if you claim to be a fan of cinema in any level, and someone's doing a documentary that has anything to do with one of the greatest living makers in cinema, that should be pretty easy. It wasn't. It was not easy. It was anything but. It did well until he hooked up with Ovitz, until he got Leo DiCaprio. He'd be, look at Oliver Stone. Look at Oliver Stone. Look at how hard it is for him to get up at filmmaking. Look at Michael Mann. He has to do Heat 2. Threads, which I've had 0 traction with. I only have like 168 followers. It's compared to TikTok 1,300 and IG at least like 1,000 or more. At least I get some traction with these other platforms, but not so with Threads. It's more older millennial 30s, something. A couple guys were talking about Casino, and what a big fan they were of the film, and the scene where Pesci, is kind of kicked out of the Stardust, / Tangier, so on and so forth, commenting on the film. Seemed logically to be a perfect opportunity to slip in The Real Casino back home years ago, The Real Casino. Check out the real story. Let me tell you what it was like to be around the real thing, Nothing. Nothing, not even a like. Okay. One of the guys was even an indie musician. I don't know how he expects to get anybody to follow his band. Some of these marketing guys would talk about this whole brand association thing, and that, this is essentially how Trump got elected. Oh, well, he has a brand on, The Apprentice, Joe Rogan. Oh, well, Joe Rogan said it, so I can follow it. That this kind of older millennial 30-something class, is very self-involved. They just post about themselves. They don't interact with anything. Scorsese's a safe brand, but it couldn't engage with anything that we didn't exactly know about, Like if it was on a Blu-ray that they watched, it was on the TF1 Blu-ray in France. But if it had been on the Universal Blu-ray and they'd seen it, well, then it would be official and they could engage with it. But because it's not, well, they can't engage with it. Wow, that explains the whole social media thing and lack of interaction and engagement. It's exactly what happened to the film. It destroyed it, essentially. I mean, think about that for a moment. You know, you talk about how much you like the film Casino. Someone tells you about a very adjacent to Casino, the real people is based on. It can't even get it a like. It's just, again, it's just brand association. Scorsese is a safe brand. It's like, you know, he's a niche brand like Fasanala or Gucci. Well, Gucci's not quite niche, but you know, Zegna, something. Well, Zegna's getting bigger, but you get the point, right? Very specific boutique, right? You know, it's sad. It's sad, man. You know, Martino Scorsese, Martino Scorsese. Martin Charles Scorsese. No, obviously, just getting a feel for what it must have been like to know that, you know, this is kind of what you have to do to get your films made. One of the guys said basically point blank that he thought the whole pen scene in Casino was completely manufactured. That Tony Spilotro did a lot of crazy stuff, but not at that level. And so we did kind of a funny takeoff that I thought, you know, initially the film was supposed to be more humorous. And when we got down there, it wasn't so humorous. I was never happier to get out of Chicago than I was then. I brought a bunch of guys down there who had never been around this kind of stuff, and they were fucking rattled the first night out, man, without question. And it just got more intense as we went along. And but there we did a humorous takeoff on the pen scene with nail clippers. Right? Another guy, not really lefty, but another Scotty G played Tony, you know, so forth, and he's gonna get him with nail clippers, not a pen. Shorter version and a couple of versions, and then I had to add kind of an addendum to the final version. I had this in the kind of making of or in the life section, the street tax, where Matt Ealing said, you know, what makes Goodfellas and Casino so powerful, these small time hoods who are able to get a hold of, you know.
When you watch Scorsese's gangster films, you really get the sense that you're watching a lot of regular blue collar guys who happened through happenstance and just sheer muscle and gall to have gotten a whole lot of money, and it's still a fairly kind of small time neighborhood environment that they kind of exist in with moneyed trappings, and that's what I've seen.
Calling him out on manufacturing the Joe Pesci, Tony Spilotro, Nikki Santoro scene. An actress who was in a couple of his films that knew him. She was in both Goodfellas, and more prominently, she plays Spilotro, Santoro's wife, in the film. She's also a manager. I don't know what's her name. It doesn't matter. Whatever. But I might have pissed Marty off. Marty, I would never do that, man. You know. He said call him Marty when I met him. My work is on his DVD, man, in France, and his Blu-ray, so I think, you know, he's cool with it. And it was not intended as any sort of disrespect, you know, it was just what someone brought up, and so I thought it would be fun to do something with it. But still, just, he's huge. He's a giant in cinema, and people don't give him enough respect still, in my opinion.